Hi, this is Karthik from Design School, the place where I teach you how to design, build and customize your websites. If you are new here, consider subscribing. Let's get into today's video. This video is a part of playlist called Elementor Basics, in which we talk about every widget, every feature and all things Elementor. If you're completely new to Elementor, you can check out Elementor Basics playlist. It's cleanly organized and it'll help you learn more about Elementor and get the most out of it and each widget in Elementor and every feature in Elementor. Make sure you check out Elementor Basics playlist. Today's topic is the Elementor Tabs widget. So we'll start with the basics of Elementor Tabs widget, how it's structured, how it functions. Then we'll learn how to style each tab separately or each tab differently. And then we'll move on to create our own tabs widgets such as this one. So this is one of the codes from CodePen and you can see the animation when I click on another tab. The other content just flies in the form of cards and it's really fun and cool looking. So we'll build widgets like these by using Unlimited Elements add-on. It's an add-on for Elementor, or you can also do it with Elementor HTML widget, but it's way better to do this with Unlimited Elements add-on. There are also CSS only tabs. You can search for them. Anyway, let's get started with the basics and then let's go and build our own tabs widget. Speaking of tabs, even the widgets interface in Elementor uses tabs. So there's content tab, style tab and advanced tab. And users know when there are tabs, they'll have different content in each tab. So tabs are a natural pattern in UI design and in web design. Elementor Tabs widget, there are multiple tab items. You can add item by clicking on this. You can change the title and the description. Description is a rich text editor, so it can have all the features discussed in Elementor text editor widget. So it can have shortcodes, it can have anything. Even the title can take shortcodes, but it's not advisable to put shortcodes in there. And I've been explaining in Elementor Basics that wherever there is text, it can be formatted using HTML as well. So you can add or you can wrap text within HTML tags. So let's do H3 for tab 1 or for title of tab 1, and you can see that it instantly changes the font size and it will get all the properties that are defined for H3. You can also do H2. Let's do H2 here, and you can see the tab 1 title is formatted with H2 tags. So wherever there's text, it can also take HTML formatting. And if you don't know any HTML, just drag in rich text editor, do all the formatting in this. So highlight this, make it bold and then italic, go to text. Here you have all the HTML that you need. Since titles are usually short, let's limit it to 2 to 3 words. So we'll just take HTML of these 2 words. So it's this. Let's copy this. Let's click on tab 1. Within title, you can paste it and you can see all the HTML formatting being applied to title of tab 1. So wherever there is text, you can do HTML formatting, and you can also put shortcodes, but it's not advisable to put shortcodes within the title. It will still work, but it will screw up your tab design. However, you can put shortcodes within your rich text editor widget. Also, you can do all the HTML formatting in here. Let's actually take one of our Elementor templates, shortcode, and paste it here so that appears inside this tab 1 as content. So I'll take this discount banner template. I don't even remember what it is. So instead of whole text, I can simply paste the shortcode. It might not be visible here. You can update and preview the changes. It will be visible there. So within tab 1, you'll have this design. Let the preview load. We can actually see the design within tab 1. So here it is. Within tab 1, I have that whole template embedded just by copying the shortcode of the template. And not just templates of Elementor, you can take shortcode of any third-party widgets and paste it. So maybe if you're actually planning to add actual content within tabs, you can maybe design templates, sections or anything and then take the shortcode and paste it. So that's one way of embedding content or putting content within tabs or building nested tabs. And I keep saying this, text area can take HTML formatting and also shortcodes. Same is the thing with Visual Editor. So whichever widget has these text area and text editor widgets as parts of their actual widgets, they can actually take HTML formatting, they can display shortcodes and stuff like that. I also told you how to display icons inline. It's quite, now that Font Awesome 5 is natively supported, you can drag a dummy icon widget wherever you want. So select the icon that you want. Maybe if you want this to be your tab title, just click on insert. Now that you have the icon, just minimize this, right click on the icon, click on inspect, and that will give you the HTML required to display the icon. and you can take this HTML and put it within title or within text area. If it has rich text editor, you can put it in the text, or if it's a normal text widget, you can put it in the. So I just copied the HTML of that icon. I'll remove the title, paste it, and you can see now the icon itself becomes the tab title. All I did was drag in an icon just for the reference. You can change this to anything that you want, and you can get the code simply by right clicking, inspecting. Let's do one more. So I'll take this one, let's pick this, click on insert, I'll minimize the side panel, right click on this, inspect, I get the HTML, just click on it once, copy it, now you have the HTML required to display the icon. So within tab, you can also paste it right next to text, so that'll give you inline icons right next to text. Or if you want it before the text, you can paste it before the text. You can also add space, and it's that easy adding icons to tab titles. You can simply have icon as title, or right next to text you can paste the icon code that you got from inspecting the element. You can also paste icons within rich text editor. I already explained this, but instead of pasting it right here, if the widget is a visual editor widget, go to text area, select the area where you want to paste this icon, paste it. So now you get all the icons in line. So that's one way of taking advantage of Phantasm 5 icons and displaying them or putting them in Elementor tabs or in Elementor content. This need not be tab widget. So any widget with text editor, you can apply same tricks. I've already shown this number of times while explaining a lot of things in Elementor Basics playlist. Again, this is also possible with Elementor Tabs widget. This inline icons trick also works with icons that you uploaded from sources such as Fontello or other third-party sources. And this requires you to have Elementor Pro. Phantasm 5 icons are available to everyone else, but the custom icon packs from sources such as Fontello require you to have Elementor Pro. I already have Pro, so you can pick any icon. And the same method is applicable to these icons as well. So I can simply right-click, get the HTML of it, and paste it within text areas of widgets. So I can copy this whole line of HTML. I'll go to tab 3. I'll put this icon right next to tab 3, just like that. So it's that easy displaying icons within tabs. And guess what? Even SVGs can be pasted using the same method. So click on this icon. Instead of this, click on upload SVG. I already have an SVG on this. I click on insert. You can minimize the side panel, right click on SVG, get the HTML of it. So this is the whole SVG. Minimize this, and where it says SVG, click on that. So the whole SVG must be selected. Copy it. Let's close this. Let's make title of tab 1 an SVG. I'll remove this, paste it. It will screw up your whole tab, but don't worry, we can fix this. All we need to do is to change the height and width of this SVG. So here width is 600, so let's change it to 60, and let's change height to 60 as well. Or you can change it to any value that you want, and you just have your SVG as tab title. So this applies to all widgets, not just Elementor tabs. So whichever has the text area can also take SVG input, and you can get SVG code just by inspecting the SVG of Elementor icon widget, and anything with icons in it can be pasted using the similar way. After your work is done, you can delete the reference widgets. Now you can use this widgets normally. If you want to type after the HTML code. So I'll say tab 1. So it's that easy, adding icons to your tabs, adding SVGs to your tabs, and pretty much a lot. Now let's look at the ways to style these tabs individually. Elementor has few basic options for styling your tabs. So you can pick border color for your tab and do a lot more. There are controls for tab title. You can adjust the color, active color, and typography, in which you can change font settings, font family, and all that stuff. And the same applies to the content. So you can change the color of the content, and when you change the color of the content, the inline icons also get the properties of the content that they're in. So this is one of the features to note. But we want more. What if you want to have a separate style for tab 1, a separate background color for the content of tab 2, or maybe a separate title for last tab or tab 4. How do you do it? Or what if you want to have different styles for alternating tabs? This is only possible with CSS. It's simple. You first examine the structure of tabs widget. By understanding what the widget is made up of, you can simply type 2 lines of code. It's not even code, it's CSS. It's so much fun. So once you target that, you can change styles of tabs individually. These are global settings, and Elementor doesn't allow you to have granular control over your tabs, but we can do it using CSS. I'll show you how right now. Let's say I just want to change the color of tab 1 title, or maybe add a background to tab 1 title. I want to add a separate background, or change the font color of just tab 2, or I want to style odd and even tabs alternately so that it looks a bit good. The only way to do this is by using CSS. If you have CSS Hero, you can simply click and change all the properties you want. But if you just have the Elementor free version or the pro version, this is how you do it. You need to examine the tab structure or the tab's HTML structure. Just right click, minimize the side panel, right click and click on inspect. Essentially, your tabs widget is made up of a container called Elementor Tabs, within which they have 2 subclasses. The first one is Elementor Tabs Wrapper, and the second one is Elementor Tabs Content Wrapper. So the Tabs Wrapper holds all the titles. As you can see here, when I hover over this Elementor Tabs Wrapper class, you see the blue outline surrounding the titles. So the Tabs Wrapper holds all the titles, whereas the Content Wrapper wraps or holds all the content of the tabs. It's that easy. So if you want to target a title, we need to target this tabs wrapper class first, within which we need to target each item individually. If you've watched the accordion and toggle widget tutorial in Elementor Basics playlist, we've done that using a selector called nth child. We'll do the same thing. So when you say selector, let's go to advanced. Let's go to custom CSS. If you don't have the pro version of Elementor, you can go to advanced. Under classes, you can give this tab a unique name and replace the code or selector with .class name. I've shown that. I'll leave a link to that, or check out the channel on how to add custom CSS with Elementor free version. That's possible. You can add the CSS to maybe your customizer area, or maybe you can add it to HTML widget of Elementor. There are a lot of ways to do this. You can watch Elementor Basics or other videos, you'll get to know that. So type selector, so that will select the whole widget, the whole tabs widget, within which we want to target Elementor Tabs Wrapper first. So I told you that Elementor Tabs Wrapper holds all the titles. We examined that from the HTML. Let's examine that again. So I just right click, inspect, and you can see within my tabs wrapper I have tab 1 title, tab 2 title and a lot, right? So we just have wrappers within which we have all the title divs. Divs are general purpose elements. Now if you observe closely, the tabs wrapper has a lot of children. So the children or the elements which are descendants of the tabs wrapper are the tab titles themselves. So you can see that from here. And if you want to target the title, so I just want to target the tab 1 and change its color, can expand it further, and you can see it's a link element ahref. It doesn't have any ID. It's done by using JavaScript. Anyway, so we just need to target the first child, and within which we need to target the link element to change color of tab 1 separately. So we need to target the nth child first. I told you it has a lot of children and the titles themselves are the children. So within nth child we need to target the link element. So give a space, enter. Let's change the color just like that. It changed just the color of tab 1 title. It didn't affect other tab titles. And if you want to change the color of tab 2, just type 2. If you want to change the color, it can be color, it can be any other property. Let's also change the font family, just a test. So it just changes properties of just the element that you targeted here. So if you want to change specifically the tab 2 title, we just did that. Let's also add a text decoration just like that. So it just targeted tab 2 title, it didn't touch any other tab titles. So that's how you target individual elements. So this is the way you do it. So you can also give this tabs widget a class name, replace selector with dot class name, and you can put the whole code at page level. You can click on the settings cog, go to advanced, and you can put all the code here. So you can also do that way, or if you want to do it at widget level, you can do that. We'll just click on it, we'll come back to our widget. So this is how you change, and it has 5 children, so the valid number is till 5. So when you say 5, it targets the last tab title. When you say 7, no element is targeted because it doesn't have 7 children. So this number is basically the number of tabs. The 1 will target the first tab title, second will target the second tab title, third will target the, and then you can add any properties that you want. So if you want to change the font weight, or if you want to change the font style, let's make it italic for some weird reason. The number here is 7, no tab is affected. Let's change it to a valid number, so it affects this 5th tab title. So that's how you target tab titles. What if you want to change properties alternately? So what if you want to have a set of properties for all the even tabs and set of properties for all the odd tabs? So instead of saying a number, you can say odd. So all the odd tab titles will get the properties that you type within this. So you can type any text property within this, any CSS property here, and all the odd tab titles are targeted. So 1, 3 and 5 are targeted. If you want to do the same thing with even, just type even, and all the even tab titles are targeted. So that's how you target individual or group of tab titles. How do you target the content within? So let's say I just want to change color of, let's examine the tabs content wrapper class again. There's a catch here. So if you wanted to target the tab title, we first targeted Elementor tab wrapper or tabs wrapper class, and then we said nth child. We can do the same with content wrapper, except that the content is actually placed at even number. So if you want to target content of the first tab, it's actually the second child. Okay, without making it confusing, let's go ahead and type it. So the first is selector, or it can also be dot class name of the widget, and then you say Elementor tabs wrapper. No, it's not Elementor tabs wrapper, it's Elementor tabs content wrapper. That's the class that holds the content. We just examined that earlier. And then we want to say nth child. We'll just give it a number. So let's say 1. Let's change the color, but it changes the color of all the tabs. Well, that's because you're not actually targeting a proper child. Like I said, the actual content is placed at even positions. So if you want to target the content of the second tab, you need to type 4 here. So it just targets content of second tab. Let's change it to something else. So now the content of the second tab is affected alone, and all the tabs are different. You can see that from here. If you want to target content of third tab, just multiply it with 2. So 6. So content within the third tab is just changed to red. We just specified red color for it. Tab 4 is unaffected, tab 2 is unaffected, tab 2's content is unaffected. If you want to change content of tab 5, you just say 10 here. So it just changes. Let's change a couple of properties of tab 2's content. We'll change the background color first. So we'll say background. Let's also change the color. Since we are targeting the tab to content, all the properties get affected. Let's change the color to something like this, whatever you want, right? And if you remove the A from here, it will target all the children. So make sure you have A while targeting Elementor tab title, and while targeting content itself, it can be as simple as what you see on the screen. You can also make this 6, so that will target content of third tab, just like that. So all the properties are actually applied to third tab's content. So 3, just multiply it with 2. Like I said, tab number into 2 will be the content or the number that you should enter here. So valid number is still 10 because there are only 5 tabs, and that's how you target individual tab titles and tab content. So if you're not happy with what you have achieved, you can create your own widget by using unlimited elements for Elementor. It's an add-on for Elementor, and once you install, you click on unlimited elements from your dashboard, pick a category that you want to create the widget in. We're going to create this flying tabs widget. It's really cool, the animation is really neat. So we'll just create this. All you need to do is to copy paste HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and the widget will be created for you. Let me show you. So I'll click on add widget. Let's call it flying tabs. The name will autofill based on what you type in title. You can give it a description if you want, or simply click on add widget. So it added our widget. So once it adds our widget, you can click on it and click on edit widget, or just double click on it. So that will open up the HTML and CSS JavaScript settings that you need to enter within the widget. You can also pick an icon for your widget. Let's do that. Click on the general tab and click on choose. Let's type for tab. I hope it's there. It doesn't have a tab. Or let's type for group or something like that. So this kind of represents a tab. You can pick any icon that you want. Let's go to HTML. I'll leave a link to this pen. It's by Billiana and it's really awesome. I just love this flying effect. I'll show you how it looks once we create the widget. So go to HTML, copy. If it's something more than just plain HTML, you need to click on the drop down and click on view compiled HTML. Same goes with the CSS. So if it's not CSS, you'll see an option called view compiled CSS. You need to click on it. Then it will show you the pure CSS that you can copy and paste into the unlimited elements add-on. And JavaScript you can copy as is. There's nothing to do here except that you need to add libraries which are added for the JavaScript of this demo. So first let's add HTML. I'll take HTML from here, copy whole HTML. I'll paste it. Now let's add CSS. Once you clicked on compile CSS, you can copy this, paste it into the widgets CSS, and JavaScript you can simply copy and paste. Here they have libraries for JavaScript. You can view that by clicking on settings under JavaScript. They have a library. You can simply copy this. If they have any other libraries, so you can go to JS CSS includes, copy and paste the library that they're using, click on update, and that's it. We just created our widget. So you just need to open up any Elementor page, post or template. If you already have a page, you can refresh the page simply, and this widget, this newly created widget, flying tabs widget, will show up in Elementor interface. It's that easy creating a widget with unlimited elements. So within the Elementor interface, you'll have the flying tabs widget. You can scroll down to the top, scroll down to the bottom, or just search for it. And this is a widget that we created. Click and drag it, and we have our flying tabs. You're noticing a yellow bar above. That's because in CSS they've said background of the body to something. You don't need this because body is actually the body of the page that we're building with Elementor. So you don't have to set it with CSS here. You can comfortably delete the first piece of code, and I think that would do. That's all you need to do. And we created our Elementor widget, and remember, this is still an Elementor widget. So all the features available within the Add Advanced or other tabs are still valid for this widget. So if I want to change the background of this widget, here they have this yellow background. Let's add it to our widget. You can see the widget functioning here. So we click on tab F, tab B, tab A. Cool, right? We didn't even write a single piece of code. All we did was copy and paste from the CodePen demo. I'll click on the section that the widget is in. I'll go to style. I want to add a background. Let me pick a background for my image. Just like that. Now it kind of looks like the demo, or you can simply paste the hex code that you want. And not just the background, you can go to section. Since none of them have important tags in the code of CSS, you can simply change the colors of font right within the section settings. Explain this in Elementor Basics. So within section that the widget is in, you can go to typography. Let's change the text color to blue. You can see that here. Go to another tab, you see that here. Let's also change the heading color to something. Let's change the link color to green. As these are all links, the color is changed to green, or change it to any color you want. Text align, you can also align the text within this widget. You can see that from here. You can also change the link hover color. Just like that. So it's still an Elementor widget, except that we created our own widget, and this functionality is all defined in the code. You don't have to worry much about it. If you're really into code, you can tweak this further and you can modify it according to your needs. But in order to create the widget exactly the same, this is all you have to do. And you can preview the widget, and it's kind of aligned more onto the right. You can displace it onto the left by using CSS, or if you have Elementor Pro, I told you this is still an Elementor widget, you can simply use custom positioning. Click on width, click on position and change it to absolute, and just change it to wherever you want. It's that easy. The background gets screwed up a bit, so it's that easy to change. Let's go to section and add margin, maybe 120 pixel margin. You see all those taking place. You can remove the body. You can, once you refresh the page, this yellow color on top will be gone, and we just created our flying tabs widget just by taking the code from CodePen. We'll be building more widgets like these with Unlimited Elements add-on. Make sure you check out Build Your Own Elements playlist from time to time. I'll build a lot of widgets. I'll show you how to do them with code from CodePen. It's quite easy. Not just CodePen, you can take code from anywhere, but CodePen code is neatly organized and you can see the demo. So that's the reason why people use CodePen. Anyway, so that's Elementor Tabs widget. You can either tweak it to your liking or build your own tabs just by taking code and putting it in Unlimited Elements. Even better, we don't want static content to be here, so we don't want to go to Elements HTML and change the content. Of course you can do that, so you can simply remove tab A from here and put your own text, but we want to do it dynamically right within the Elementor interface, right? So it would be really nice if you had options to change all the content that we want right from within the Elementor interface. You can do that. The way to do that in Unlimited Elements is by creating attributes. I explained this in Unlimited Elements basics tutorial, so check out widget creator tutorial. In that I clearly explained that how to create attributes, and we'll be doing more of Unlimited Elements tutorials in the future. So I just want to replace tab A's title, so I'll create an attribute for that. So let's create an attribute. Let's call it tab 1 title. Let the name be the same, default value tab 1. You can put anything here. You can also allow font edit, and this will give you all the Elementor typography options. Let's click on add attribute. Now that we have added attribute, you can go to HTML. So instead of tab A, just select tab A and you have your newly created attribute here. Click on that and that will replace tab A. So when you refresh this widget, let's update this design. So it's updated. When you refresh the design, this widget will have the newly created attribute, and whatever content that you enter within the attribute will actually be reflected in tab A or the content of tab A. Let my page refresh. Now when I refresh the page, instead of tab A, I have tab 1, which is the default value of the attribute that we created. Let's change this to something. So let's say first tab here and watch what happens here. So whatever value you pick here will be reflected here because that's what we said here. So attribute is a dynamic way of changing values. So that's what your Elementor widgets do. So in order to create a truly customizable widget, you need to have controls to customize each and every attribute, each and every aspect of your widget. You can control color. You can also create an attribute to create color or to change the background color, to change font size, whatever you can dream of, you can basically do it. I've shown that in widget creator tutorial. So we just changed the first tab. As you can see here, that within this section, they have an unordered list of tabs controls similar to Elementor's tabs container. So all these will have titles of the tabs, and they have another one of cards container which actually holds the content of the tab. We examined Elementor's tabs HTML structure, right? That's similar to this. So tabs title will have a different container and tabs content will have different container. All these are basically HTML and CSS stuff. They follow the same pattern and you can see that from here. So we just want to change or replace the content dynamically instead of hard-coded values. What do you do for that? Well, simple. We'll just create an attribute and replace this whole HTML with that attribute, similar to what we did that. So I did that with title of tab A. You can do that with tab B, tab C, and all the tabs. And within content, I'll show you for the content of the first tab. So its ID is 1. So I'll just show it. So you need to replace everything with H1 and P with an attribute so that user can dynamically change this. I want a rich text editor to enter my content within my tab. So instead of this static text, I want a rich text editor where I can format the text and enter the text. So I'll just create a rich text editor attribute. So let's click on add attribute. We'll say tab 1 content. It's not a text field, I want a rich text editor. So I'll pick type of attribute as default value, type some text here, or add media. You can put anything you want. And that's it. We created our attribute. Now we just need to replace this in the HTML of this widget. So instead of this whole content which is statically created for us, you can see that from here. So let's click on tab A. So A, lorem ipsum, and till here it's all static content. They've written that in HTML. So starting with H1 and ending with P, within div, select everything and just click on tab 1 content. So whatever you type in the rich text editor will be the content of tab 1. You can do it for the other tabs. All you need to do is to update this widget and refresh this. I'm doing this because I want you to understand it, but the actual workflow would be to change everything to attributes, everything dynamically here, and then drag the widget into Elementor interface. It will save you a ton of time. I'm just doing it in order to explain it to you. Now in tab 1, instead of a static HTML content, you have a rich text editor which says tab 1 content, and here you can type any text you want. So I can say hi. I can also format this the way I want. I'll make it bold, italic. I'll also change the color. So just like that, it's getting reflected here. So in order to make the static HTML content dynamic, or basically anything dynamic in your code, you can create attributes in unlimited elements. Similarly, you can do it for tab 2's content. So this is tab 1 content. So this is tab 2's content. Sorry, it's this one. So everything from here to here, select it, create a new attribute called tab 2 content, and then replace that with tab 2 content. So you'll have fields to change each tab's title and also content. And you can go to style tab. Since you've allowed font style edits here, you can also pick your tab title separately. So you can pick typography, you can increase the size. That's a bit weird. So you can also change the font family right from within. You don't have to write code. I'll pick Pacifico. So just like that, change the font. You can change transforms on all the heights. So whatever attributes you pick for your tab will be applied here. So you can style it the way you want. And that's all you need to know to create a widget with code from CodePen and unlimited elements. That's it for now. Hope you guys liked this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.